Dr. Lisa Morgan was having her morning coffee when the universe changed forever. She sat in the small kitchen of the research ship Starlight Horizon, watching the stars through the window. The coffee was terrible, but it was hot and helped her. Wake up! She had no idea that in 5 minutes, everything would be different. The alarm started ringing. Not the soft beep that meant someone wanted to talk to them. This was the loud, angry sound that meant something important was happening. Lisa dropped her coffee cup and ran to the bridge. Commander Jake Harrison was already there, looking at the big screen with a confused face. The other crew members were running around, pushing buttons and checking computers. Pete Collins, the chief engineer, was sweating even though the ship was cool. "What's going on?" Lisa asked, trying to catch. Her breath. Jake pointed at the screen. "We're getting a message. But it's not from Earth or any human ship. It's coming from deep space, and it's using quantum channels." Lisa felt her heart beat faster. Quantum channels were new technology that only a few species knew how to use. If someone was talking to them this way, they were very smart and very desperate. "Can we understand what they're saying?" she asked. Pete nodded, his hands shaking as he worked on his computer. "The message has translation codes built in. They really want us to understand them." The screen flickered, and suddenly they could see 3 different alien faces. Lisa had studied alien species for years, but she had never seen these before. One looked like a tall, thin person with blue skin and large eyes. Another had scales and a long neck. The third was covered in soft fur and had 4 arms. The blue one started talking. The computer translated its words into English, but Lisa could hear the fear in its voice. "People of Earth," it said, "my name is Kethara. I speak for the Zephyrian Alliance. We are 3 species who have lived in peace for many years. We grow food, heal the sick, and study the stars. We have never hurt anyone." The alien paused, and Lisa could see tears in its large eyes. "But now we are going to die. The Krovar Empire has found us. They are a species that believes war is holy. They think killing makes them closer to their gods. They have attacked 12 of our worlds. Billions of our people are dead." Jake stepped closer to the screen. "Why are you telling us this?" "Because we need help," Kethara said. "We have studied your species. We know you come from a world called Earth. Your planet is hard and dangerous. You have storms that can destroy cities, animals that can kill with their teeth, diseases that have killed millions, and yet you survived. You became strong." Lisa felt a chill run down her back. The alien was right. Earth was a difficult place to live. Humans had to fight for everything. "We have heard the stories about your wars," the alien continued. "How you fight even when you should give up. How you protect the weak even when it costs you everything. The galaxy calls you Deathworlders because you come from a world of death, but you use that strength to protect life." The second alien, the one with scales, leaned forward. "The Krovar use weapons that kill by changing our bodies. They make diseases that attack our blood. Our peaceful nature means we cannot fight back. We do not know how to hurt others." "But you do," said the third alien, the furry one with 4 arms. "You have the knowledge we need. You understand war in ways we never wanted to learn." Commander Harrison crossed his arms. "What exactly are you asking us to do?" "Come to our worlds," Kethara said. "Help us fight the Krovar. We will give you our best technology. Our medical machines can heal any wound in minutes. Our farming tools can make dead worlds green again. Our energy systems are clean and safe. All we ask is that you teach us how to protect ourselves." The message showed pictures of Zephyrian worlds. They were beautiful, with crystal cities and gardens that seemed to go on forever. But some of the pictures showed these same worlds burning, bodies lying in the streets, Children crying over their dead parents. How long do we have? Jake asked. The Krovar are moving toward our capital world Zephyr Prime, Kethara said. 2,300,000,000 people live there. The Krovar will reach it in 6 months. If Zephyr Prime falls, our alliance will end. Our species will become slaves or die. Lisa looked around the bridge. Everyone was quiet. Pete was staring at the pictures of the burning worlds. The other crew members looked shocked and sad. We know this is much to ask, the alien said. You do not know us. You owe us nothing. But we have nowhere else to turn. The other species in the galaxy are like us. They do not fight. They do not know war. Only humans understand both the need to fight and the reason to protect others. The transmission began to fade. Please, Kethara said. We are sending you the location of our nearest diplomatic station. If you choose to help us, come there. If not, we understand. We will face our end with dignity. The screen went black. The bridge was silent, except for the soft humming of the ship's engines. Jake was the first to speak. Pete, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we need to talk to them right away. This is bigger than anything we've ever dealt with. Should we tell them we're going to help? Lisa asked. Jake looked at her and at the rest of his crew. That's not our choice to make, but I can tell you one thing. If Earth decides to help these people, I want to be part of it. Lisa nodded. She thought about the tears in Kethara's eyes. She thought about the pictures of the burning worlds. She thought about 2 billion people waiting to die. So do I, she said. President Catherine Wells had not slept in 36 hours. She sat in the big meeting room deep under the White House, looking at faces on screens from around the world. The Global Defense Council was meeting for the first time in 5 years. The last time was when the asteroid almost hit Earth. This was bigger than an asteroid. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, said General Ryan Brooks, his voice coming through the speakers. Aliens are asking us to fight a war for them? Not just any war, said Dr. Amanda Foster from the Science Council. A war against other aliens who use biological weapons. Weapons that could kill entire planets. President Wells rubbed her tired eyes. 3 days ago, the biggest problem on Earth was the food shortage in Africa. Now they were talking about fighting aliens. In space, the door opened, and 3 figures walked in. They did not look human, but they moved carefully, like they were trying not to scare anyone. The first was tall and thin with blue skin. The second had scales and a long neck. The third was covered in soft fur and had 4 arms. These are the Zephyrian delegates, President Wells said to the council. They came here as fast as they could. The blue alien, Kethara, bowed deeply. Thank you for seeing us, leaders of Earth. We know our request is unusual. General Brooks leaned forward. On his screen, unusual? You're asking us to send our people to die for yours. What makes you think we would do that? Because you are human, said the scaled alien, whose name was Mortek. We have studied your history. You fight when others cannot. You protect the weak even when it costs you everything. Senator Amy Foster, who was sitting at the big table, shook her head. Our history is full of violence and war. That's not something to be proud of. But it is, said the furry alien, Vexani. You fight, yes. But you also save. When the Great Wave hit Japan, humans from around the world came to help. When the sickness spread through Africa, human doctors went there knowing they might die. You are warriors, but you are warriors for good. President Wells looked at the intelligence reports spread across the table. The pictures were hard to look at. Entire cities destroyed. Bodies in the streets. Children crying. Tell us about these Krovar, she said. Kethara touched a device on its arm, and the big screen on the wall lit up. It showed a picture of an alien. That looked like a giant spider, but with arms instead of legs. Its skin was black and shiny, and its eyes were small and mean. The Krovar Empire has existed for 2,000 years, Cathara explained. They believe that war is holy. They think their gods want them to conquer everyone else. They do not make peace. They do not trade. They only fight. How many worlds have they taken? Asked General Brooks. 47, Mortek said sadly. Each time, they kill most of the people and make the rest into slaves. They use biological weapons that attack the victim's genetic code. Each species dies differently, but they all die. Dr. Foster leaned forward. What about their military strength? They have 300 ships, Vexani said. Each ship carries 1,000 warriors. But they are not like human warriors. They fight only in traditional ways. They believe honor comes from following old rules. That could be an advantage, General Brooks said, thinking out loud. If they're stuck in old patterns, we might be able to surprise them. President Wells looked at the alien delegates. What exactly are you offering us in return? Cathara gestured, and the screen showed new pictures. Medical devices that looked like magic. Machines that could heal a broken bone in minutes. Farms that grew more food than seemed possible. Energy systems that created no pollution. Our medical technology can cure most human diseases, Cathara said. Our agricultural systems could end hunger on Earth. Our energy technology could stop the climate change that threatens your world. And our terraforming tools, added Mortek, could make any planet suitable for human life. You could spread across the galaxy. Senator Foster whistled softly. That's everything we've been trying to achieve for 50 years. There's something else, Vexani said. Something the Krovar do not know. Humans are immune to most biological weapons. Everyone in the room went quiet. Explain that, Dr. Foster said. Your world, Earth, is what the galaxy calls a death world, Cathara said. It is full of diseases and poisons and dangerous life forms. Your immune systems are incredibly strong. The biological weapons that destroy us would probably not hurt you at all. General Brooks sat back in his chair. So we're naturally resistant, their main weapon? More than resistant, Mortek said. Your doctors could probably create cures for their weapons in days. President Wells felt a strange feeling in her stomach. For the first time in years, she felt hope. Not just for the Zephyrians, but for Earth too. How long do we have to decide? She asked. The Krovar fleet will reach Zephyr Prime in 5 months and 3 weeks, Cathara said. If you choose to help us, your forces would need to arrive before then. And if we choose not to help? The 3 aliens looked at each other sadly. Then we will die, Vexani said simply. All of us. 2 billion, 300 million people on Zephyr Prime. Another 8 billion on the other worlds they will attack after that. Senator Foster stood up. I move that we help them. Seconded, said Dr. Foster from her screen. Wait, said General Brooks. This isn't just about being nice. If the Krovar destroy the Zephyrians, who says they'll stop there? What happens when they find Earth? The room went quiet again. President Wells had not thought about that. The General is right, she said slowly. If the Krovar are expanding their empire, they'll find us eventually. Better to fight them now, with all eyes, than later, alone. Plus, said Senator Foster, think about what we could do with their technology. We could solve climate change, end world hunger, cure cancer, explore the galaxy. President Wells looked around the room. She could see the decision forming in everyone's faces. All in favor of providing military assistance to the Zephyrian Alliance? Every hand went up. Every voice on the screens said yes. Then it's decided. President Wells said, We're going to war. Cathara fell to its knees. and the other two aliens did the same. "Thank you," it whispered. "You have saved our worlds." "Not yet," General Brooks said, "but we will." President Wells stood up. "General Brooks, I want you to choose our best people for this mission. I want Captain Danny Wright to lead the expedition, and I want our smartest scientists working with the Zephyrians to understand everything about these Krovar." "Yes, ma'am," General Brooks said. President Wells looked at the alien delegates. "You came here asking for help. You're going to get it. But we're not just sending soldiers. We're sending Earth's best, and we're going to win this war." For the first time since they arrived, the three aliens smiled. Luna Base was the biggest military base in the solar system. It sat on the moon like a metal city, with thousands of soldiers and scientists working inside. Colonel Nancy Price had never seen it so busy. People were running everywhere, carrying boxes and equipment. Ships were taking off and landing every few minutes. "Operation Starfall," she said to herself, reading the mission papers again. It sounded like something from a movie, but this was real. In 3 months, they would leave for alien space to fight a war that could decide the future of the galaxy. "Colonel Price?" A young man in uniform walked up to her. "I'm Captain Danny." "Right. I'll be leading the ground forces." Nancy looked at him. He was younger than she expected, maybe 35 years old, but his eyes were serious, and she could see scars on his hands from old fights. "Captain Wright, I've read your file. 3 tours in the Mars colonies, 2 Purple Hearts. You know how to fight in space." "Yes, ma'am, but I've never fought aliens before." "Neither has anyone else," Nancy said. "That's why we need to be smart." About this, they walked through the base together. In one big room, human soldiers were training with Zephyrian advisors. The aliens were trying to teach the humans how their enemies fought, but it was hard. The Zephyrians had never been soldiers themselves. "The Krovar always attack in straight lines," one of the blue-skinned aliens was saying. "They believe it. Shows honor." Sergeant Lucy Adams, a tough woman with short black hair, raised her hand. "What if we don't attack in straight lines?" The alien looked confused. "But that would not be honorable. We're not Krovar," Lucy said. "We don't care about their honor. We care about winning." The alien seemed shocked by this idea. Nancy smiled. This was good. The humans were already thinking differently than their enemies. In another room, Dr. Kevin Stone was working with Zephyrian scientists. They had brought samples of Krovar biological weapons, and the human doctors were studying them. "Incredible," Dr. Stone said, looking through a microscope. "This weapon targets specific DNA sequences. But human DNA is so different from Zephyrian DNA that it won't work on us at all." The Zephyrian scientist, a scaled alien named Geek, nodded. "Your immune systems are also much stronger than ours. What kills us in ours might not affect you at all. Can we use this to help your people?" "Yes," Torgik said excitedly. "If we can modify your antibodies, we might be able to create vaccines for our species." Nancy felt good about this. Not only would humans be safe from Krovar weapons, but they might be able to protect their allies too. She found Major Chris Turner in the Intelligence Center. He was looking at pictures of Krovar ships and reading reports about their tactics. "What do you think, Major?" Nancy asked. Chris looked up from his papers. "They're predictable," he said. "They do the same things over and over. They believe their way of fighting is blessed by their gods, so they never change it. That's good for us. Very good. Look at this." He showed her a picture of a Krovar battle. They always put their strongest ships in the front. They always attack the biggest target first. They always try to board enemy ships instead of destroying them from far away. Why do they board ships? Because they think killing the enemy to face is more holy than killing them with missiles. Nancy grinned. "They're going to hate fighting humans." In the medical bay, Dr. Helen Carter was studying Crovar biology with the help of Zephyrian experts. She had samples of Crovar blood and tissue, and what she found surprised her. They're actually not that tough, she told Nancy during a meeting. They evolved on a world with lots of food and no dangerous predators. They're big and scary looking, but their bones break easily, and they've never had to deal with diseases. So if we can get close to them, our soldiers are stronger, faster, and harder to kill, Dr. Carter said. Plus, we've been fighting germs our whole lives. If we can introduce Earth bacteria into their ships ... they'll get sick, very sick, maybe sick enough that they can't fight. Nancy was starting to feel confident about their chances. But there was still one big problem. How many ships do we have? She asked Captain Wright during another meeting. 5, he said. The flagship New Terra, 2 escort ships called Liberty, and Freedom, a medical ship called Mercy, and a supply ship called Endurance. And they have 300 ships. Yes, ma'am. Nancy thought about this. Then we can't fight them ship to ship. We need to be smarter. What do you mean? We need to get inside their ships, use their own vessels against them, turn their strength into weakness. Over the next 2 months, the humans trained for every situation they could think of. They practiced boarding alien ships. They learned to use Zephyrian weapons and technology. They studied Crovar language and culture. The Zephyrians were amazed by how quickly humans learned. Your species adapts so fast, Cathara told Nancy during one of their meetings. We have been the same for thousands of years. But you change and grow with every challenge. That's how we survived on Earth, Nancy said. Change or die. The Crovar do not understand this. They think strength comes from staying the same forever. Then they're about to learn something new. The hardest part was training humans and Zephyrians to work together. The aliens were not used to fighting, and humans were not used to working with species that were afraid of violence. Remember, Captain Wright told his soldiers, our allies are not cowards. They're just different. They see war as something terrible. That should never happen. We see it as something terrible that sometimes has to happen. Lieutenant Ben Rogers, a young Marine who would lead the first boarding teams, raised his hand. What if they panic during battle? Then we protect them, Wright said simply. That's what we're here for. Finally, the day came to leave. The 5 human ships sat in space near Luna Base, loaded with soldiers, weapons, and supplies. The ships looked small compared to the pictures of Crovar vessels, but they were fast and strong. Nancy stood on the bridge of the New Terra with Captain Kate Phillips, who would command the ship during battle. Through the windows, they could see Earth in the distance, blue and white and beautiful. Think we'll see it again? Kate asked. Yes, Nancy said. And when we do, it'll still be free. The communication system crackled to life. It was President Wells speaking from Earth. To the brave men and women of Operation Starfall, she said, you carry with you the hopes of 2 worlds and the future of 3 species. You go not as conquerors, but as protectors. Not as destroyers, but as guardians of life. Come home safe. Come home victorious. Captain Phillips pressed a button. All ships, this is New Terra. Engage FTL drives. Destination, Zephyr Prime. The stars outside changed from points of light to long streaks. Then they were gone, racing through space toward a war that would decide the fate of the galaxy. Nancy looked around the bridge at her crew. They were scared, but they were ready. They were human. They were Deathworlders, and they were going to win. The human fleet dropped out of FTL space near Zephyr Prime, and Commander Kate Phillips immediately knew they were in trouble. The beautiful blue and green planet that the Zephyrians had shown them in pictures was surrounded by black smoke and flashing lights. Crovar ships filled the space around it like angry wasps. "How many enemy ships?" Kate asked her crew. 67, reported Lieutenant Tony Lee from his station. "And they're attacking the planet's surface." Kate looked at the screen showing Zephyr Prime. She could see explosions on the surface where cities used to be. The Zephyrian defense fleet was falling back, their ships damaged and burning. "Get me Admiral Vorthen," she ordered. The screen flickered, and the face of a Zephyrian commander appeared. His blue skin was pale, and his large eyes were full of fear. "Human ships," he said. "Thank the stars you are here. We cannot hold them much longer." "What's the situation?" Kate asked. "They arrived 3 days ago. Their biological weapons have already killed millions on the surface. Our ships cannot get close to theirs without being infected." Kate felt anger growing in her chest. She looked at Colonel Nancy Price, who was standing beside her. "Time to show these Crovar what humans can do." "All ships," Kate spoke into her communicator. "This is New Terra. Attack pattern Delta. Target the biggest Crovar ships first." Human fleet moved forward. They were small compared to the Crovar vessels, but they were fast. The Crovar ships were huge and black, covered in spikes and scary decorations. They looked like floating castles of death. "Incoming transmission from the Crovar fleet," reported Communications Officer Sam Johnson. "Put it on screen." A terrifying face appeared on the display. It looked like a giant spider with too many eyes and sharp teeth. This was a Crovar warrior, and it was not happy to see humans. "Unknown vessels," it hissed in broken English. "You will surrender now, or be destroyed. We are the chosen of the war gods. We do not lose." Kate smiled coldly. "This is Commander Kate Phillips of the Terran Fleet. You are attacking our allies. Leave now, or we will make you leave." The Crovar made a sound like angry metal scraping. "Together, foolish creatures from the outer dark. You know nothing of war. We will crush you like insects." "We'll see about that," Kate said, and cut the transmission. The battle began immediately. The Crovar ships opened fire with energy weapons. That could destroy most ships in one hit. But the human ships were ready. They moved in patterns the Crovar had never seen before, dodging and weaving like fighters, instead of flying in straight lines. "They're confused," reported Lieutenant Lee. "Their targeting computers can't keep up with our movements." "Good. Take U.S. in close to that big one. Launch boarding teams." This was the part of the plan that worried Kate the most. The humans had to get inside Crovar ships to capture them. And nobody knew what would happen when humans and Crovar met face to face. Lieutenant Ben Rogers led the first boarding team. His ship was tiny compared to the Crovar battlecruiser, but it was fast and hard to hit. He guided it toward the enemy ship's docking bay. "Remember," he told his team over the radio, "these aliens are bigger than us, but they've never fought humans before. Use that surprise." The small ship crashed through the Crovar ship's defenses and landed inside the docking bay. The doors opened, and 12 human Marines rushed out. The first Crovar warriors they met were 8 feet tall and covered in black armor. They carried energy weapons and moved slowly, like they expected the humans to be afraid and run away. Instead, the humans attacked immediately. They used grenades, rifles, and even hand-to-hand combat. The Crovar had never seen anything like it. "What are these creatures?" One of the Crovar shouted in their own language. The humans' universal translators picked it up. "They fight like demons," another one screamed. Corporal Mary Scott, the team's explosives expert, planted charges on the ship's power systems, while the others kept the Crovar busy. Private Mike Torres used his medical training to help injured Zephyrian prisoners they found in the ship's holding cells. "These humans heal the wounded even during battle," one of the rescued Zephyrians said in amazement. They are truly warriors of light. But the biggest surprise came when the Krovar tried to use their biological weapons. They released a cloud of deadly gas that should have killed every human in minutes. Instead, the humans just put on gas masks and kept fighting. Impossible, the Krovar commander screamed. The death breath always works. Not on us, Ben Rogers said, shooting the alien commander with a stun weapon. We're from Earth. We're used to things trying to kill us. Within an hour, the humans had captured their first Krovar ship. They found something interesting in the ship's computers. The Krovar had detailed information about other species they had conquered, but nothing about humans. They don't know anything about us, Dr. Helen Carter reported to Kate after studying the captured data. They expected us to be like the Zephyrians, peaceful and easy to defeat. What else did you find? Their biological weapons are designed to attack specific alien genetic codes. But human genetics are so different that none of their weapons work on us. Plus, our immune systems are treating their diseases like a minor cold. Kate felt hope growing in her chest. Can we use their own weapons against them? Better than that. I can modify their weapons to target Krovar genetics instead. The battle continued for 6 more hours. The humans captured 3 more Krovar ships, using tactics the aliens had never seen before. Instead of fighting honorably in straight lines, the humans used tricks, traps, and surprise attacks. Captain Tony Lee coordinated the joint operations between human and Zephyrian forces. The Zephyrians had advanced sensors and energy weapons, but they had never used them for war. The humans taught them how to target enemy weak spots and how to work together as a team. Your weapons are powerful, Lee told Admiral Vorthan. You just need to use them differently. But it feels wrong to attack from behind, the Zephyrian said. Is that not dishonorable? Honor doesn't matter if you're dead, Lee replied. And it doesn't matter if innocent people die while you're being honorable. The turning point came when Chief Warrant Officer Grace Hamilton figured out how to reprogram captured Krovar ships. She was the fleet's best computer expert, and she had been studying Krovar technology. Their ship computers are surprisingly simple, she told Kate. They never expected anyone to capture their vessels, so they didn't put in good security. Can you turn them against their own fleet? Already working on it. 20 minutes later, 2 captured Krovar ships opened fire on their former allies. The Krovar fleet was thrown into confusion. Their own vessels were attacking them, and they didn't understand how it was possible. Retreat, the Krovar fleet commander finally ordered. These humans are not natural. They use dark magic. As the Krovar ships fled toward the edge of the system, Kate allowed herself to smile. The humans had won their first battle against the Empire, but she knew this was just the beginning. The Krovar would be back, and next time they would be ready for human tactics. Damage report? She asked her crew. Minor damage to liberty and freedom, reported Lieutenant Lee. No human casualties. We saved about 3,000 Zephyrian prisoners. From the captured ships, Kate looked at the planet below. The cities were damaged, but they were still there. The people were still alive. Send a message to Earth, she ordered. Tell them the Deathworlders have arrived, and the war has begun. In the captured Krovar ships, human scientists were already studying alien technology and learning new ways to fight. The Zephyrians were amazed by human determination and creativity. You turn our enemies' strength against them, Cathara said to Kate during a meeting after the battle. You make weapons from their own tools. How do you think of such things? Kate thought about Earth, with its storms and earthquakes and dangerous animals. She thought about human history, full of wars and struggles, and people who never gave up. Because we're human, she said simply. And humans never stop fighting for what's right. 3 weeks after the first battle, the Krovar Emperor's flagship Divine Conquest arrived above. Zephyr Prime. It was bigger than any ship the humans had ever seen. A floating city of black metal and weapon systems. Behind it came 200. More Crovar vessels, the largest fleet they had ever assembled. Admiral Jack Parker, who had taken command of the human forces, stood on the bridge of the New Terra, looking at the massive enemy fleet. He had fought in every major human conflict for the past 20 years, but he had never seen anything like this. "They're not just here to conquer," he said to his staff. "They're here to make an example. They want to show the galaxy what happens when someone defies the Crovar Empire." Colonel Nancy Price nodded grimly. "Intelligence reports say they've brought their religious warriors, their best troops. They think this is going to be the final battle." "Maybe it will be," Admiral Parker said, "but not the way they expect." The human fleet had grown since the first battle. They now had 15 ships, 5 original human vessels, and 10 captured Crovar ships that had been reprogrammed. It was still small compared to the enemy fleet, but Admiral Parker had a plan. "We're not going to fight them ship to ship," he told his commanders during the final briefing. "We're going to fight them human to human. We're going to use every dirty trick, every psychological weapon, every advantage we have." Staff Sergeant Dale Young raised his hand. "What about their biological weapons? They'll try to gas the planet again." "Dr. Carter has a solution for that," the Admiral said. Dr. Helen Carter stood up. She looked tired but determined. "We've modified captured Crovar bioweapons to target Crovar genetics instead of Zephyrian. When they release their poison, we'll release ours." "But what about the people on the planet?" asked Lieutenant Commander Sarah Walsh. "The Zephyrians have been evacuated to underground shelters with clean air systems. They'll be safe." Admiral Parker looked around the room at his officers. "Remember, we're not just fighting for the Zephyrians. If the Crovar win here, they'll keep expanding. Eventually, they'll find Earth. This is our line in the sand." The battle began at dawn, Zephyr Prime time. The Crovar fleet moved forward in perfect formation, just like they always did. The Divine Conquest led the attack, its enormous guns aimed at the human fleet, but the humans didn't meet them head-on. Instead, they scattered in all directions, using asteroids and space debris as cover. What are they doing? The Crovar Emperor demanded from his command throne. "Why do they not face us with honor?" "Unknown, my lord," replied his war chief. "Their tactics are strange." Strange was putting it mildly. The human ships were using every unconventional tactic Admiral Parker could think of. They hid behind moons, attacked from multiple directions at once, and used captured Crovar ships to confuse enemy targeting systems. But the real surprise came when Staff Sergeant Dale Young led a boarding team directly onto the Divine Conquest itself. His ship was so small that the Crovar sensors barely noticed it until it was too late. "How did you get past our defenses?" a Crovar guard asked as Young's team captured the ship's communication center. "We didn't go past them," Young replied, setting up explosives. "We went under them. Your sensors are designed to detect big ships, not little ones." Corporal Mary Scott, a demolitions expert, placed charges throughout the massive ship while the team's communications specialist, Private Sam Johnson, hacked into the Crovar broadcast system. "Got it," Johnson said. "I'm now broadcasting on all Crovar frequencies." Young smiled and activated his communicator. "Admiral Parker, we're ready." "Do it," came the reply. Suddenly, every Crovar ship in the fleet heard something they had never experienced before: human war music. Heavy metal songs with screaming guitars and pounding drums filled their communication channels. The sound was so alien and aggressive that many Crovar warriors stopped fighting to cover their ears. "What is this noise?" the Emperor screamed. "Human battle songs," his war chief said, looking terrified. They sing about death and violence as if they enjoy it. The psychological effect was exactly what Admiral Parker had hoped for. The Krovar were creatures of ritual and tradition. They had specific songs and ceremonies for battle. The chaotic, aggressive human music broke their concentration and made them afraid. But the real turning point came when Lieutenant Colonel Paul Green saw that the Emperor was preparing to use the ultimate bioweapon, a virus that would kill every living thing on Zephyr Prime. "Admiral," Green called over the radio from his damaged ship. "They're charging their planet killer. I can stop them, but ... But what? I'll have to ram them. My ship's too damaged to get away after." Admiral Parker felt his heart sink. Paul Green was a good man with a wife and 2 children back on Earth. "Paul, we can find another way." "No, sir, we can't. This is what humans do. We protect others, even if it costs us everything." Before Admiral Parker could stop him, Green turned his ship toward the Divine Conquest and pushed the engines to maximum power. "Remember Earth," he shouted over all frequencies as his ship slammed into the Emperor's vessel. The explosion was visible from the planet's surface. The Divine Conquest broke in half, its planet-killer weapon destroyed. The Krovar Emperor was dead, along with his most trusted advisors. The effect on the Krovar fleet was immediate and devastating. These warriors, who believed in honor and ritual, had just seen a human sacrifice himself to save people he barely knew. It was something their culture could not understand. How can we fight creatures who embrace death to protect others? One Krovar captain asked his crew. "They are not natural," another replied. "They are spirits of war made flesh." The human boarding teams inside other Krovar ships heard the enemy talking and knew they had won more than just a battle. They had broken the Krovar's will to fight. Admiral Parker seized the moment. "All ships broadcast on Krovar frequencies. Let them hear our terms." His voice echoed through every enemy vessel. "Warriors of the Krovar Empire, your Emperor is dead. Your fleet is broken. But we offer you something your people have never given to others: mercy. Surrender now, and we will let you return to your worlds. Continue fighting, and you will join your Emperor." For the first time in Krovar history, an entire fleet surrendered without being completely destroyed. The war was over. 2 months later, Admiral Parker stood in the Great Council Chamber on Zephyr Prime, watching humans and Zephyrians sign the Terran-Zephyrian Alliance. The document established humanity as the protectors of peaceful species throughout the galaxy. "We give you our medical technology," Kathara said during the ceremony. "Your doctors can now heal injuries that would have killed people just months ago. Our agricultural systems are yours as well," added Mortek. "Earth's deserts can bloom. Your hungry can be fed. And our energy technology will help heal your planet's climate." Finished Vex single quotes A and I. President Wells, who had come from Earth for the signing, stood to speak. "The Zephyrian Alliance has kept its promises. Now humanity will keep ours. Any species that chooses peace will find protection under human guns." Admiral Parker thought about Lieutenant Colonel Paul Green and the dozen other humans who had died in the war. They had given their lives so that billions of others could live in peace. Dr. Lisa Morgan, who had been in the first human ship to receive the Zephyrian distress call, now worked with alien scientists to share knowledge between species. "Amazing," she said to Admiral Parker after the ceremony. 6 months ago, we didn't even know these people existed. Now we're partners exploring the galaxy together. What do you think happens next?" Admiral Parker asked. "I think we're going to meet more species that need our help," Lisa said. "And I think we're going to meet more species like the Krovar that want to hurt others. And we'll be ready for them. Yes, because we're human. Because we're Deathworlders. And because someone has to stand between the wolves and the sheep." Admiral Parker looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there were peaceful species that didn't know how to fight. And somewhere else were aggressive species that only understood violence. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as guardians. Not as destroyers, but as protectors of life. The universe was a dangerous place. But now it had humans in it, and that made all the difference. Back on Earth, children were already learning about the Zephyrian Alliance in school. They learned about alien medicine that could cure any disease. They learned about farming techniques that could feed the world. They learned about clean energy that would save their planet. But most importantly, they learned that sometimes the strong have a duty to protect the weak. That sometimes violence is necessary to preserve peace. That sometimes Deathworlders become the galaxy's greatest hope for life. And in the deepest parts of space, where other aggressive species watched and planned, word was spreading about the humans. The species from the Deathworld, called Earth. The beings who fought like demons but protected like angels. The galaxy would never be the same again.